We've started. Welcome back, one and all, to Bike Talk with BikeLane. This is episode 9, and thank you for coming back with us. I am Frankie with a Y, not an I-E.
I am Mr. Fern.
I'm Edwin.
Wilmer, and of course we have
Our special guest for the second time in a row, Senor
Caesar.
Welcome back, Mr. Caesar.
Cesar in Spanish.
Yes, exactly how he mentioned it. Welcome back, Caesar, and it's a pleasure to have you back with us.
Actualities.
This time, for this episode, we are going to be discussing fixie bikes, fixed gear bikes, the history of it, races involving fixed gear bikes, and we're going to get some more insight from all of us, and especially you.
And also,
For you.
there is people that don't know what fixie or fixed geared means. People go by it as single speed.
True.
Or it can be also known as a more, como se dice,
Okay, so let's go through all the names that they're called. So there's single speed. There's
fixies.
fixies.
There's urban chic.
Urban chic.
I'm
there's
sorry.
track
I got
bikes.
fancy.
Track bikes is the right way and the only way.
Yes. Well, there's a gray area.
You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if it's not on the track though.
So there's a lot of names, but they all describe the same style of biking,
definitely.
but just in different platforms, different stages.
Yes. Single speed, fast and the furious, very lightweight, very on the go, very simple.
Very
at
low
some time.
maintenance.
Yes.
Low maintenance. That's actually
that's
a really
a
good
good
one. Very
terminology to
important.
say. Yes.
And I would say a little bit dangerous,
No,
If-
no.
If you are hardcore.
It's very fun.
Because you're...
Well, isn't
How
the
about-
most typical single speed or fixed gears doesn't have brakes?
Wait. Before, sorry to interrupt, but
Oh,
before that,
please.
we must explain what the actual fixed gear is.
Yeah, we gotta talk about what it is.
So, pretty much, simple terms, you have a cog and a lock ring and your back wheel. Now, so it's just a solid cog, no other mechanism to it.
No ratcheting like a
Nothing.
freewheel.
Not at all.
So,
Continuous
to break
pedaling.
it down, as long as your wheel is moving, your cranks and pedals will be moving along with it. So, hence the name fixed gear. Just keeps on going.
Purest way of riding a bike.
Getting freaking hardcore.
Yeah.
Super hardcore. I can't do it.
So, what does a bike look like, Wilmer?
Well, the bike itself can have many different styles, but the most common, the most way it started is in the track style. So this actually originates back to the start where bikes came from. It originated in track races. So with track bikes, you have kind of like a downwards, I'd say, position. So
It's called a racing position.
racing position. There you go.
Caesar, is that what the official term is?
Yeah.
Okay, racing
A
position.
racing position. 'cause
You
you're
are
gonna
more
be
aerodynamic.
aerodynamic.
So
exactly.
it's head down, ass up, your wind's kind of just blowing
You're
off
pretty
your
much
back.
like this.
Yeah.
In an angle. You're in an angle, straight down.
You're tucked in.
Tuck
Yes.
in.
Tuck it
Exactly.
in. Tuck it in, guys.
Tuck it
No,
in.
you're tucked in.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, the bike. Is there a specific way the bike is supposed to feel? So, the bike has drop bars, so most track races, well, all track races, they have track bars, but now there's a urban fixie that use straight bars, but drop bars. Is there a certain look that you're looking for when you're building your track bar / fixie bike?
No. You want, so there's guys that like to customize their fixed gear bikes, and then there's guys that just like make their track bikes just for the velodrome. When it comes to like velodrome bikes, you have certain measurements that you have to come up with before it's illegal to ride the bike because
So
it's
they're
too
like
aerodynamic.
requirements.
Whoa.
Yeah, they're
There's a certain
requirements.
type of requirement.
Yeah.
What is that? That's
Where it's like-
interesting.
Your body is too far forward, or you're way too aero. It's like some measurements that you have to follow.
How can you be way too aero? Like,
There's a way.
that is
So
no joke.
What is weight area? That your bike will be
so,
shaped
like-
to.
So the
Aero?
the tubing is too aero,
Okay.
and it then becomes unsafe, or you have an unfair advantage. And then there's parts where it's like your bars are too far past the front axle, and then your seat is too is too far forward from the bottom bracket. It's a bunch of rules and like measurements that you have to follow by.
That's good to know.
So you can be pretty much, you can get in trouble or disqualified or not even able to ride,
Not able to ride.
if you're too fast because of your positioning and your aerodynamics on the bike.
If you know the cheat
why,
code.
I don't know
Yeah,
what the
pretty
reason
much.
behind it is. I just know that there's measurements you have to follow if you are gonna race like
Right.
some like legit like UCI races.
In
But
a
then
lot
you
of
have-
sports,
you have-
there are
you have
requirements.
other guys that like to take their track bike and put like straight bars on it. They like to put like colorful wheels on it. Right. Those are just guys like that like to make it like
Like aesthetically.
yeah.
So, going from track, now we're talking about the fixie guys. So the
Yeah.
fixie guys, I mean, I consider the fixie guys the street riders.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that
Or
are cruising
they're
around
urban
cities.
riders.
Yeah.
That's riding out in the urban community.
Yeah.
Streets.
And
A lot of
streets.
mean streets.
Let's just say what it is.
A lot of people like to say that those bikes are made for hipsters.
Whoa. I'm not a hipster. I used to have.
Now you're being very
I think,
controversial right now.
I think where it all started is Messengers wanted a bike where it was very low maintenance.
This is
Yes.
where it started.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So like Messengers wanted a bike that was very low maintenance.
Yep.
So what they started doing was taking frames, any type of frame, it didn't matter what frame it was, and just throwing the least amount of parts on it.
Dissecting it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then that way they'd go out, throw it up against a pole, lock it up, and not have to worry about their brake lines being cut
Mhm.
or their gears like messing up over the day.
Right.
It's just one speed, and they make the most simple bike to do their runs and get around as fast as possible.
So is that why a lot of older bikes are made to basically have now flat bars and basically just have the least amount of expensive parts, just a single speed cog in the rear and a real big chain ring in the front and just the straight bars? Is that why people take off those parts just so they could get a little bit lighter?
But yeah, make it simple.
The simplicity of it.
Yeah.
And that also goes along with the repairs. There's less things going to be breaking, like such with your gears. You can possibly break a derailleur or a derailleur hanger. So with a single speed, you don't have to worry about that. So less
Also
money on
with
repairs.
the low maintenance, it's easier to repair it yourself.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I know what I'm doing.
So I feel like since we're on the topic of the messengers, we need to give them their credit. We need to talk about the messengers a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
messengers goes a long way.
They go
do
hardcore
what
as
they gotta
well.
do, and a lot of them, they get in their own little hardcore accidents and competitions as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before any type of street riding, I feel like the messengers were the official street riders of New York City. Like
100%.
they started all the trends that we see today, and they literally started just because they needed something faster. So something faster. I don't know if a lot of people know that riding a fixed gear bike, you can't stop. So your momentum is continuous. Like you just don't slow down ever, unless you want to slow down. Unless you got to fight the force. Am I right?
Yeah.
So these guys want to get somewhere fast. So they put a single speed cog and they pedal their ass off, or not pedal. The bike will still pedal. Even if you take your feet off, the bike just keeps going. This thing's like a
It's like
crazy
going by
machine.
itself, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It is a preference and a required type of ride for them.
It's a
You know?
dedicated type of
It
ride.
definitely
you gotta want
dedicated.
it.
So
yes.
for newer riders that are joining into the fixed gear,
There is a lot.
basically aroma, what would you give them as a tip? Just so as they were going to start off, what would you guys say would be one tip to give someone that's starting off on a fixed gear bike?
Brakes.
Wear a helmet. Keep your brakes and wear a helmet.
So that's
Number
another
one.
thing. Like, so there's like a.
It makes a great commuter bike.
It does.
Yeah.
Somebody
It does.
that's like going to college or like using it to go to the deli or to the supermarket with
Because
the
it's real
rack
simple.
on
You
it.
just
Yeah.
pick it up and
Exactly. Like it makes a great commuter bike, a single speed, not making it fixed gear, but making it like
Yeah,
a
with
single
the free
Yeah.
wheel and
Yeah.
everything. Right.
I mean, I don't want to make it sound like a bad thing, but it's like almost the fixie trend is kind of like a plague right now, going through all the cities. Like,
Well-
I've been to several cities and everybody rides a fixie,
Yeah.
and it's just a cool thing to do now.
I like to consider it as in like a culture within itself.
It is.
One
Yeah,
hundred
it
percent.
definitely
It's
is.
a whole
Yeah.
culture.
But
yeah.
when you have a very inexperienced rider getting on a fixed gear bike, pedaling through the streets,
The beginners.
it's how people get hurt. And how many
Yes.
people have been killed?
This year alone, it has made
I think
2,
25.
3, 24.
24.
Yeah.
The last,
that's-
The
it was
last guy
actually
was
a
on
gentleman.
Cross Bay, right
Yep.
here.
That's insane, dude.
65 years old. He was a well-known rider. He
Yeah.
actually rode his bike. He did everything he had to do, just precaution-wise, safety-wise. And this is unfortunately another death this year, making it 24 of a cyclist or rider getting killed.
And I feel like it's the explosion of cycling that's kind of, it's like drivers are fighting back.
Right.
So fixie riding is huge right now. The wheelie kids are huge. There's more people out on the streets. And there's more people who don't know how to ride their bikes out on the streets. And unfortunately, this is the result.
And
Yeah.
people definitely need to know that. Also,
I think it's
speaking,
equal. It's not just us. It's definitely the drivers too.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely the drivers.
they have a lot of responsibility,
Absolutely.
and they just don't care.
Yeah.
Dude, they just barrel through everything. Trucks, buses.
But I have to say,
they don't
riding
care.
a fixed gear bike on the street is one of the most dangerous types of bike.
100%.
is.
Yeah.
Let's throw it out there that the 14-year-old that just got killed, number 23, he was riding a fixed gear bike.
Yeah, that was in Corona, right?
And
Yeah.
yes, and
Well,
he was 14 years old.
Earlier this year, I don't know if you guys heard of Robin. Damn it, why?
I forgot her last name, but I know you're talking about.
Robin. She raced
Yes.
at the track.
Mm-hmm.
She was well known. I met her.
Yes.
Pretty bummed. That sucks.
Yes, that was a big thing as well.
Yeah.
I actually read that in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Also.
So
Rest in peace to all those that have passed away. We're sorry to hear what happened.
yes.
Be
So-
safe out there.
Going off of that, one thing I would definitely like to recommend is get comfortable with yourself and comfortable with the bike on the street before making a decision to go fixie or fixed gear.
Know what you're
Because
getting into.
Yes.
Know what you're getting into.
So let's talk about some of the gear that you'll need to ride a fixed gear bike.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot because it's so
So
much.
let's start off with the first thing that we always see when someone comes in and they have drop bars. I always notice that they got something called bar wrap. They can't use grips because, well, there is grips, but if you would like, you can also use wrap. So there is people that come in and then they have these
Boom.
hardcore wraps. These Chanelli wraps, it basically makes up as grips. They do make them in different materials. Some do have gel, cork. Some can be made out of cloth. Those would be more of like the older ones.
There's leather as well.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
foam.
And they
So-
come in different colors too.
Preference.
It does
Yeah.
make your
Preference.
riding way more comfortable because I know that there is some people that just ride bare drop bars with like
Yeah.
no
Yes.
como se dice wrap.
Mhm.
And it's dangerous. You
Which
could
is
slip
dangerous.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can slip off.
And
But
Hurts your
that
hands.
goes with the culture. How some people like a certain thing a certain way because that's how a certain people are doing it.
Yeah.
So it becomes a trend.
It is.
Just like say with these fixed gear riders, right? They have all these stickers all over the place.
Oh
They don't mean nothing.
brought up the stickers.
I had to bring it up because it's just the trend that's going around.
It's
I
the
want
cool
it to
thing
look
to
like
do.
this.
It's
Pick one color, the color's gonna go splash here, splash there, and then let's just put a whole bunch of stickers. And then some people, they say that the dirtier the bike, the better, because then nobody's gonna steal it. Have you heard that before?
Or yeah, the more beat up. And
The
scratched
more
up.
beat up, the more, yeah. So yeah, I don't need no Chanelli gel wraps that will make the bike feel fantastic.
And then there's the guys that say track bikes are only meant for the track and should stay on the track.
Oh, yeah, who says that?
Now, funny thing about that, getting a fixed gear bike stolen. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a thief failing to steal a car because he couldn't handle a manual. That a fixed
Yeah.
gear could pretty much be the equivalent of that.
Oh, that is.
Because
Absolutely.
yeah,
they
it
don't
does
know what
catch
they're getting
people by
into.
surprise.
And then it throws you off.
Exactly.
Oh.
Like we said,
Oh,
the
man.
momentum.
Gosh, yeah.
There's times where I got in on the track and I started pedaling the bike and I just forget I'm on a track bike and just like bug forward.
That's happened to
That's
me.
rough.
Oh man, that hurt.
So some of the other gear that you would need for your fixie or track bike would be I have some clipless pedals.
Boom.
So there's two different styles. One of the most popular styles, like, would you agree that this is one of the most popular styles, like kind of look style pedal versus
Not-
the SPD?
I would say people start off more with the strap.
Yes.
Once they like are comfortable with their feet being strapped to the bike, then they head into the clipless pedal, which is then that. But definitely strap first or cage.
So it's like a graduation.
yeah. Yeah, you go to strap because your foot is in there, but you can still pull it out really fast.
Right.
Then you go and you then can go into a clipless pedal where your foot's on there, even more secure.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a little bit harder to pull out. And then
So can we just explain what a little bit harder to pull out looks like?
Yeah, we can. So your foot, so you have a clip under your shoe, and it goes. You have a clip under your shoe, and then it goes into the pedal, and there's.
Come on, pull it out, Caesar.
What happened? What's going on here, guys?
It's really hard.
It's just really hard to pull out.
It's really hard to pull out of those pedals sometimes, depending on the tension.
Yes.
But yeah,
So,
So-
when you're starting with the strap, you can just
So you can just
basically
pull your
say-
foot out back.
yes.
Versus the clipless pedal where you have to slide your foot up to the
You
side.
have to twist your foot.
You have
out,
to twist your foot out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So
that's
it's,
You're not
it's
pulling
something
out of
extra
that
to
one.
think about before you can pull out.
Yeah, pretty much. At least
So-
when you actually getting used to the strap, it's just preparing you to get with the clips.
Yes.
So I have a question. So when you're pedaling and you do decide to take out your foot, pedals they do move around. So what if your pedal would be like that? You would be able to just flip it up to a position and just clip it right back.
So the secret is it has this tab here, and what you do with the tab is you hook that front part in, and then the pedal flips with it, and then you push forward even more, and it clips. So like usually what happens is the pedal's like this, right?
Okay.
You use that tab, it flips the pedal, and then you push forward, and it clips in.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like that. This little tab over here hooks
So it
onto
does
there.
make it a little bit easier for you.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you don't necessarily flip it and then push it in.
Okay.
beautiful. So there you go. Now, these, of course, for the hardcore riders out there, this could be a means of stopping. So there's a little thing called skidding.
Ooh.
So pretty much is when you're pulling back with all your force and stopping the momentum of the wheel. Skid. So definitely straps and clips will definitely help because you're staying locked in and nothing's slipping. Your foot's not gonna slip off. It's giving you that extra force and extra security to stop. For the hardcore riders.
To stop is pretty much fighting the momentum. You have to lock your legs, stop the wheel from spinning, and be able to hold all your weight back.
This is on the streets.
This is on the streets, yes.
You're not allowed to do that.
We're talking
on
about
the
fixies.
velodrome.
We're talking about
The
fixies.
commuters out there.
And the best part would be to just get a brake so you can slow down in unison by pushing back and holding your brake. But, you know, it's the streets.
You know, you want to be hardcore.
It's the streets. It's the streets.
Cool.
Definitely don't want to skid on the track.
So, can we talk about on the track now? So, what is the type of gear that you need to be on the track? So, if somebody wants to go race on the track, what do they need?
So you need a track
Besides a
bike.
really cool track bike.
You need a track bike.
Like,
Your bike can't have brakes. You have to have some sort of foot retention, so clips or a toe cage. You can't use straps. You have to use clips or a toe cage. You want the foot retention. I don't think it's totally necessary. I think if you're like in the beginning levels, it's not necessary, but 100% recommended. Just because you need to sometimes backpedal a little bit, not too much. You're never supposed to skid or come to a complete stop. You're supposed to keep riding and then slowly ride off the track. Obviously, you need a helmet. You always want to wear a helmet while you're on the track. You don't have to wear a cycling kit, but it's recommended just so it doesn't get caught up in other stuff while you're racing with people or riding with people on the track. That's about it.
Okay. Pretty simple and
Yeah.
straightforward.
Just need a bike and a
Yeah.
helmet and a kit.
Where would somebody go to register to do
So
a race?
So you definitely want to do a clinic. You don't want to just jump into a bike race, a track race. There's a lot of rules that you want to get down before you jump. So I would look for a clinic. There's usually clinics in March or April. You can find the clinics on bikeregs.com, or you can go on casinovelodrome.info. They have a lot of information on when the events happen, and that's a good way to get into track race.
So, go ahead.
Bike clinic? What do you mean? What is that like almost an intervention? Like a whole group of people to meet up at this
A
certain
clinic
spot?
is a event where you have a couple coaches or one coach have a group They have a group, and then they go over all the rules and like the basic way to start racing. Yeah, it's
okay.
like orientation to bike racing.
Oh,
It's a track
okay.
racing.
Beautiful. Can we talk about what a velodrome is?
A velodrome is
Oh,
a bike racing track that's shaped like an oval.
Okay.
It ranges in sizes. The most common one that they use for racing is 250, 250
Meters.
meters, and that's like indoors. It's usually indoors, and then they go up from there. There's like 333s, and then the one in New York is 400, which is one of the bigger ones, which is not really used that much.
So, I would imagine that the floors are, well, not pretty slippery, most likely made out of wood.
So the 250s are usually made out of wood, and they are slippery and they're super scary.
Alright, that's where I wanted to kind of lead it to. So, I know there is people that do sweat more than others.
That doesn't come into.
It doesn't
Nah,
affect it.
That doesn't come into play now.
I
So
thought.
does the gear that
That's
they
a
wear?
lot of sweat. That's
Well,
a
I
lot
mean,
of
a lot
sweat.
of times the gear
So-
that you're wearing helps that out, though, right?
Yeah, so yeah, the gear does help
Of
that
course.
out. But usually the scary part about it is that it's on a bank.
Right.
I think it's like 45
It's a
degrees.
45 degree angle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
depending on the track. Not all of them are 45-degree angles.
Oh, sweet.
Casino's not 45. So
What's casino?
I don't know, but it's not that banked because it's a 400-meter track. So
So the bigger the track, the more relaxed it is.
the less banking there
So it all
is.
varies.
So smaller than more, like.
Yeah, and then usually 250s are all indoor. I got to race in an outdoor wooden track. It's in Minnesota, and that's gone through like all types of weather, and the wood feels like it's sinking in when you're riding it. And then there's this crazy, I think it's in all 250 tracks, but this crazy G-force when you're like full speed that's pushing you down.
You
pretty
can
fun.
literally feel that.
You can feel like
That's crazy.
your head just like.
Like you're in there. So if being that you have done indoor and outdoor, what's
I
your
haven't done
preference?
indoor yet.
So you haven't
I
done
haven't done
indoor
indoor
at all.
no.
So you've only done outdoor.
Only done outdoor, and I've done outdoor 250, 333, and casino 400.
Do you want to try the indoor?
That is the plan. I'm gonna go
Yes.
to Canada this year.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice.
That's very
By the
nice.
end of this year.
Yeah,
Okay. 'Cause you're
yeah,
almost there.
indoor 250. Yeah.
Nice.
Can we talk about the velodromes in New York, which I found extremely freaking interesting and kind of sad at the same time?
Tell me about them.
So in New York, we've actually had 2 official velodromes built, wooden velodromes, outdoor wooden velodromes. One was in Manhattan on Harlem River Drive in 225th.
Nice.
And that was around till 1920 until it was burned down by a suspicious fire.
Wow.
And all of this I just Googled.
Mhm.
And me reading this, it actually makes me super sad because this is a time when New York was actually really into biking, where they were building biking facilities. Like everybody go ride your bike, pretty much just
Right.
encouraging people to ride their bike. According to the article, it'll fit more than 16,000 fans, and it was always packed. Oh, by the way, this is on myinwood.net. And after this one burnt down, there was another one built in Coney Island.
Wow. That's nice.
And the one in Coney Island lasted until 1950, until somebody bought the property and built a high-rise building.
Wow.
And that was also the main attraction for New York. Like, it was like going to a baseball game or a football game. You go watch the velodrome
Cycling
race.
was huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. And I feel like we took 10 steps backwards when we lost these facilities because New York kind of just took a pause on biking. And it's only now that every time we mention the DOT is catching up to biking.
It's like every time we get to a point where evolving or elevating, at some point, we always get held back.
I think money's a big part of it. I think a big thing about it is money. A lot of money goes into these velodromes to make them and then keep them up to date because there's always repairs
Absolutely.
and like something that we're struggling with at Casino is that it's people that are volunteering to fix it. It's not like a company or the parks department fixing it. It's like guys that race are going there and spending their own money
And their
on
own time.
Bondo, their time to go
I mean,
fix it.
I see a lot of different things. Well, I see it different ways. So the Casino Velodrome has been there how long now?
A long time.
It was built for the
1964,
Olympics, right?
Yeah.
So it
1962.
was built for the Olympics, and I'm an avid rider, and maybe as of 5 years ago I knew it was there. But like nobody talks about it. Nobody says like this is amazing. Like we gotta go check it out. Nobody makes it a thing.
Yeah.
Unless you're into track racing.
Yeah, I mean, another big thing about it is like nobody is organizing nobody has an organization to like take the track and do something with it.
Right.
Take it to the next level.
Yeah, so like for example, there's a track in Pennsylvania called T-Town, Valley Preferred Cycling Center, and they have a big like organization where it's like people that they find money and then they paying people to run the track. So there's no foundation or anything here in New York to do that. So there's
Not
nobody,
yet.
not ever.
Not yet. We're
Yeah.
keeping positive.
Yeah, we're keeping
Bike is
positive.
blowing
Yeah.
up.
So you got people down there that actually want to have a program where it's like they have racing every Tuesday, they have racing every Friday, and then they have big UCI races there because there's money for that down there. But then up here, there's nobody that wants to take charge or work for free. Sometimes you have to work for free to do that.
So support from a larger party.
Yeah.
So I know how there's a lot of the NYC park cleaners and people that do maintain the parks.
Parks Department.
Yeah, the Parks Department.
Thank
I
you,
know
guys.
that up in Forest Park they do have some cycling classes. I was thinking, so why don't they, if they're implementing cycling classes, why wouldn't they implement also tracks that people can race on and actually take it more seriously? Because it isn't something that you could go locally to. Like you can't just call up your boy and say, "Oh, let's go to the track, let's hang out." You can't really say that. You have to go somewhere either out of state or somewhere a little bit far. So, would you guys think it would be a good idea for the DOT and the Parks Department to implement that?
I think it's somebody that's into cycling. Those people are not into cycling. You have to be into cycling.
The track racing is really just something that you really have to want, right?
Yeah.
It's not something you just fall into.
Well, yeah, it's like any type of bike racing.
Yeah.
You have to really be
So-
into it.
I'm just into biking, right? And the Unisphere of Flushing Meadow Park, did you hear that they're redoing all of Flushing Meadow Park? They got a $10 million grant.
What?
And it used to be the World's Fair. That's when they built it in
Yeah.
'64. And they were actually taking applications for ideas of what they should build the park. Like the big Men in Black towers, the spaceship looking things.
Yeah.
They want to redo that. I submitted an idea to make it a velodrome track. And unfortunately, it didn't go through. They're going to make it like a bunch of restaurants and nonsense in there.
As usual.
But there has to be more of a push from somebody, obviously, with more power. Because that was like a perfect opportunity to make a velodrome in New York and make it an attraction. Like people will come from everywhere to go to Queens, to go to Flushing Meadow Park. And it would just blow up the city. Because if 16,000 people will go to see a velodrome race in 1922 in New York, how many people would come now? It would be like 60,000 or more. It would be huge. I think it would be big.
I think everything leads back pretty much to money. They
Yeah.
have to, a big investor has to find that the sport, the track racing, the velodrome has to be a valuable commodity where it's gonna bring them money. There's a lot of investors out here. There's a lot of big corporations that they don't care. They'll put in millions of dollars. They have to make sure that they're gonna get that back. That's what they want.
Well, let's talk about how much a real track bike will cost somebody. So just the explosion of people buying track bikes is going to help out the economy because people are going to come into the local bike shops or even on the internet because some people do that too. And a basic track bike will cost you $2,000 to $3,000 if you want a nice real track bike.
If you're really getting into the sport, it's
Absolutely.
not a hobby, it's a sport. And at the end of the day, just like any other rider, you're gonna make an investment, correct? For yourself, for your sport. Whether you're riding normally in the community, in the urban streets, or you're riding for sport, such as Caesar, you're gonna make an investment. Yes or no, Caesar?
Yeah.
Have you made an investment for yourself into your sport?
All the time.
You put a big investment in that Fuzi behind you.
That and like, you know, like all the gear, like traveling, training, like that's all an investment. it's not just the money part. It's like what goes into it. Like all
Of
the
course,
training.
because you know what's gonna come out of it. That's
Yeah.
why you're putting so much
Yeah.
into it.
I feel like New
It
York
makes sense.
being one of the biggest cities in the U.S. needs to step their freaking game up because we can attract a lot of people for nonsense, like for looking at lights in Times Square, but we can attract people for real hobbies, for real sports, for something that's actually gonna have a positive impact on society instead of look at the lights.
I think that's a whole different topic when it comes to that.
Yeah.
How
Like, we could do better than
society
that.
now and how the government wants to keep
So
you
there's
a certain
a-
space.
Oh, that's another topic.
That's a totally different
There's
topic.
there's a little, I don't know if it's a company or what it is, but they built a fitness center in Detroit that's also a track.
In Detroit, by the way, that is destroyed and run by gangs.
So in Detroit they have an indoor. It's a very small track. It's like 160 something. It's like tiny.
Okay.
It's like a 10-second.
But it's a
lap.
track.
It's a track. It's like very small.
Mhm.
But then it's also a fitness center. So they have like a gym, I think, and they have a pool. I'm not sure about the pool, but it's not a indoor track. It's a fitness center,
Beautiful.
That's what they say.
and that's what needs to happen. It just can't be. It needs to be based around fitness. It can't just be
Absolutely.
cycling.
I mean, and once people start focusing on fitness, they'll just start feeling happier. New York will become a happy city instead of all these angry freaking people.
It's
Oh
like-
my god.
It all goes back to your health because riding your bike in general, it's your physical health right there. You're
That's another
staying
thing you
active.
mention every time.
Every
Right?
time,
Every
it all
time.
goes back
Yeah.
to it.
Safety is always a factor. Health,
true.
mental health, physical health is always a factor with everything. And speaking that we're talking about New York and everything, America itself was one of the first places that monopolized racing. Here, they started at 1876, Madison Square Garden. They did the one of the first velodromes in America, which became one of the first races called the Madison races.
Really? I wonder why.
That's freaking
Yes.
impressive.
How do you feel
Like-
about the Madison race? Have you heard about the Madison races?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Madison race is one of the hardest races on the track.
Why is it so hard?
What is it?
So the Madison race is it's a team of two.
Yes.
So you and another teammate, and then maybe like 20 other teams, or maybe like 10 or 15 teams
Of two.
of
Each.
two.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's 30 people.
yeah, something like that. But
Good math.
only one person of the team is racing at a time,
Mhm.
and you can tag your teammate into the race, right? So you can
Okay.
sling your teammate into the race, and then
So you're literally pulling him in.
yeah, so there's guys that are on and there's guys that are off.
Right.
The guys that are on are riding the low part of the track. The guys that are off are riding the high part of the track.
So everyone's
Um,
constantly riding.
Yeah, but the off guys are riding slow. The on
Right,
guys
right.
are riding fast.
It's like
Okay.
shoot, like you tag him in. Let's go.
It's anywhere from 75 to 100 laps, and there's points every 5 to 10 laps. The
Okay.
team with the most points at the end of the race wins.
Uh,
So you are exchanging with your teammate whenever you want, and you're just taking him,
transitioning.
throwing him
Just
in.
shoot.
Yep, and then there's more to like the race, like where if like you lap the field, you get like 20 points. Like
Oh,
there's many ways to win the race, but pretty much at the end of the race, whoever has the most points wins the bike race.
And you've done one of these races.
I've tried to.
Okay.
It's very hard and it's a lot of technique. It's not just about pedaling your bike fast.
Right.
The exchanges are very scary.
A lot of strategy.
It's a
Everything.
lot of strategy, yeah.
And where did you try this at?
T-Town,
Okay.
yeah.
T-Town. We're back to T-Town.
Okay.
I also tried it in Minnesota,
Okay.
in the wooden track outdoor.
Right.
We just did a couple of exchanges and I was like, no.
It was like, well, that's not your preference of race.
It's something that you can't just jump into. You have to practice it outside
Right,
of
of
racing.
course.
Like you can't just show up and go, I'm gonna do a marathon today. Like it's not how it works.
Today's that day.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
But we can take a step back and talk about fixie racing, which is something a lot of people just jump into.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that you can jump into.
absolutely, like an alley cat race. Can you explain to us
That
what
is
that
definitely
is?
a thing.
I think so. Alley cat racing started from messengers. That was
So wait,
it was messengers meeting up.
were you ever a messenger?
Kinda, not really.
All right, cool.
I was delivering food,
Okay.
but I hung out with all the messengers. So what they do is
So
they
you were
meet-
living the life.
Kinda, not really.
You were in there, but you weren't in there.
I was in Messenger,
passed by.
so I wasn't like a legit. I was
Okay.
just a food delivery guy hanging
It was like,
out
hey, it's
with the messengers.
Okay.
Yeah. So an alley cat it's like a scavenger hunt
yes,
in the
that's
city
what it is.
yes.
or wherever it may take place, and they give you a manifest that has
Yes.
all the checkpoints. You go to that checkpoint, you get your manifest signed.
Yep.
And then the first person to get all the signatures, either if it's in order or not in order, at the finish line wins the alley cat, the race.
Yes.
Now,
They actually have a documentary about that. It's
Yeah.
a fantastic
Yeah.
documentary. You guys should
Um,
look into it.
So you have guys like running red lights, guys like
Okay.
just
Oh my God, it's
riding
Woo!
in and out of traffic. Like
Yeah.
it's just the fastest person through the streets to get
Yep.
to all the places and then get the paper signed and then you finish. It was made by messengers to hang out with them or like make a little bit extra
and make
money.
it
Yeah.
make it something
Yeah,
for them.
exciting. Make it- yeah, exciting, good
Everybody
fun.
always does something. Something always comes out of a culture of
Street
riding.
Yeah, okay, street cred.
Street
Always.
cred if you win all the alley
Wait,
cats.
but we're laughing, but that's really a thing.
That is a thing.
So when you're out there and you're riding your bike, like people know, like, hey, that's Wilmer, and Wilmer's
Just
really
won those
fast
2
on
races.
his
yeah,
fixie. Yep.
Wilmer's
Yes.
legit in the streets.
That's the thing. And
Yes.
you go to the meetup spot, which used to be what was it? Columbus Circle.
yeah.
And then what was the other part?
Union Square.
Yeah,
Union
Union Square.
Park.
No, Union Square.
Union Square
Union Square.
is the other meetup spot where everybody just hangs out and you pull up after you won a couple of races and everybody's like,
Oh,
hey.
Yep, very
You just
true.
did that, yeah.
5 minutes of fake.
But this lifestyle also just encourages all types of biking and other sports as well, because it's not just fixie kind of back alley races that happen. It's like
Right.
legit races that happen throughout the city as well. There's a bomb down Broadway, which is skaters.
I did that.
No,
oh
they,
my
they
God,
have a
I
bike
did
version
that.
too.
And then there's the BMX version, and then there's
There's a track version.
a track version, and
Yeah.
there's the
I've done the track version.
I forget there's a film festival race. It's a BMX race.
They also have an alley cat for
And
bicycle
that's
festival.
and that's also
Yeah.
another alley cat, and it all started from messengers.
Oh, they have the best, the top one that like if you win, you're like the best like alley cat racer in New York.
Yep.
It's called Monster Track.
Monster Track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one is fixed gear bikes, no brakes, and it's like all like people fly in for that one.
Oh,
I've heard
I can
people like
imagine.
flying in from Germany. I heard there's guys that come from San Francisco. There's guys that come from Chicago just to race Monster Track. And like they have really cool prizes sometimes. Like it's like a custom made bag.
That's awesome.
Um,
I didn't even know about Monster
that's
Track.
dope.
Now I
Yeah.
gotta look it up.
It's
I'll write
legit.
it down.
Where sometime is it located at?
Monster Track is always in March.
But where?
It depends on where they start. Like it's released
In the city streets.
It's released on Instagram and it's like it goes into
This
the
is where
city.
it's going down.
Yeah, it's
It's
in
not
the
like
city.
a permitted, roped off race.
No, it's in the street.
It's a hardcore ass
Oh, yeah.
running
Yeah.
through red lights,
Traffic.
dodging fucking
yeah.
people.
I think
and cars.
last year they did it. 2 years ago they did it in the snow.
Whoa.
That's
That's
hardcore.
Monster
Oh, God.
Track. If you win Monster Track, you're like legit.
You know what type of bike would be perfect for Monster Track? What kind of bike were you talking about earlier?
There's a little thing called Tracocross.
Tracocross. What is
So-
that about?
Explain track across, please.
In the name, you can pretty much hear it. Both sides, we have a little bit of track, we have a little bit of cyclocross.
Okay.
Now, with this so-called Tracocross, you pretty much have these closed courses, and you have a track bike. But the difference is that with these track bikes, you have a wider tire clearance, so you can fit knobbier tires to accompany with the dirt that you're riding. So there's closed courses, jumps, you go through mud, a lot of that. So that would definitely be good for the snow because you're on the court.
Yeah.
But that's another type of race that came from originating like messengers, races just branching off into different styles.
This is actually fairly new.
It's
It is.
very
It's
unique.
actually blowing up now recently. A lot, I'd say, in California, there's a lot.
in San Francisco, right?
San Francisco, yes.
Yeah, they have like their own race series.
Wait, are you gonna get into the Tracocross?
No,
Why not?
not down.
all right, that's fair.
I'm more into just the Olympic version of the sport.
Beautiful. I think we're up to the recap.
Wait.
Are
one
we
more thing.
recapping everything, or are we gonna hear one more thing?
One more thing.
Let's hear it.
Hill climbs. Oh my god, hill climbs, so hardcore. This, of course, takes place in San Francisco. Very hilly over there. So
Oh,
it's
very steep hills.
very steep hills. It's another form of racing. You're pretty much climbing a hill. Instead of
On a
flat
track
road
bike.
on a track bike.
On a track bike.
So
It's not like what
Think
is
it's
it
a
called?
workout.
DHE?
Would you get like Fernando legs if you do something like that? Look at those things.
definitely get those thunder thighs and thunder calves.
That's some hardcore biking.
You guys should watch the track racing in the Olympics.
Oh, we didn't talk about the Olympic track
It's really
racing.
good.
That's hardcore.
And we
So,
didn't talk about the movie The Flying Scotsman. Have you seen
Oh,
that?
that one's good. That one's
Yes,
where he
sir.
takes the washing machine bearings
He used washing machine parts
Yeah.
to make this. Yes.
to make the bike faster and more
yes.
aerodynamic.
Very good movie.
Yeah.
The
It's
Flying
super-
Scotsman.
Super.
and where would somebody go to watch some Olympic races?
YouTube.
YouTube. Just put in Olympic track racing.
Yeah, Olympic track racing. UCI track racing, which is like the highest level of racing you could do. Yeah, it's good
Sweet.
stuff.
Look it up.
Sweet.
Now let us let's do the recap of the history and information of fixie and fixed gear bikes.
Alright. So the type of bike you need is one that you cannot stop pedaling. Usually has drop bars. Now you can customize your bike. You can put flat bars. You can use your straps, bar wrap, or clipless pedals.
Well, let me just add on to this when it comes to handlebars and everything. A lot of people nowadays has been putting the
Bullhorns.
the bullhorn.
Yes.
I personally like those. Do you like that look real quick?
No.
I like that look. It just makes it look tough.
I mean, that's what makes you you. That's what's making your
Exactly.
bike so unique.
It's all
exactly.
preference.
Yeah. And that also shows that people do have different riding positions. Some people could be more stretched out and lean forward, or some people could be more tucked in and lean more
Riding
downward.
preferences.
Yeah.
All preference.
Also, we spoke about a lot of different races. One of
Yes.
the races are Madison races.
Track across races,
Hill
alley
climb.
cat races,
Hill climbs.
hill climb
We
races.
actually didn't talk about the Red Bull mini drone races.
Red Bull
Whoa.
Mini Drone
Whoa.
season.
So I personally want to talk about it because I was in two of them, and
Yes.
out of 100 riders, I actually got 5th place in one, and the other one I got 16th, which was not bad out of 150 people.
That's good.
And these are also YouTube clips that you can look up. Red Bull mini drone races, just indoor velodrome tracks that were made just for the fixie guys.
In churches.
In churches, in old churches, which made it super cool.
One of the closest ones right now is the one in Massbeth, correct? Is that
Yes,
the
it was
closest?
a Masonic
Is-
church.
Yes, it was in Massbeth.
Very.
Unfortunately, Frank couldn't go in. I'm sorry.
I went. The whole family came to support Ed, and I wasn't allowed to go in.
Because
We're not gonna get into
he had
that.
his son and
We're not gonna
there
get
were
into
people
that.
Drinking, so
I don't wanna
some
hear
can't
that.
come in.
Oh man.
Yeah, these excuses. I don't.
But yeah, look that up. It's very interesting.
Look it up. We also spoke about fixed gear, what
Yes.
you may need besides helmets,
You doing?
besides bar wraps. Also, what we didn't mention as well is that every bike.
Oh man. Shook the whole
I'm sorry,
table.
Caesar. Needs a pump. This is actually a Blackburn pump. It's
Is that a tubeless pump?
This is a tubeless pump.
Preload the pump.
You can preload this pump to your maximum, minimum, or right there in the middle PSI.
Tubeless is great.
Tubeless is great, but having a pump is even greater for you can use it.
And also, we did go over how accessible the bikes are. If you are going to just use it to get from point A to point B, they are real light. And
Low maintenance.
yeah, they are low
Maintenance,
maintenance,
very
so
simple.
they're easy to take care of.
Yes.
Beautiful.
That sounds fantastic. Would you like to add in anything, Mr. Caesar, once again?
Make sure to visit casinovelodrome.info. They put up all the events happening at the track. Check out bikereg.com for any track clinics coming up. Get introduced to track racing, which is really fun. That's about it. And come out next year, Wednesday nights, for some track racing.
And if you need any other information, you can always stop on by the shop. We're on 85th 13 Jamaica Avenue. This is BikeLane. You can also give us a call. You can also like, comment, and subscribe to us. If there's any questions you want to ask, we will answer them. This has been another episode of Bike Talk with BikeLane. This is Frankie with a Y, not an I-E.
I am Fern.
I'm Ed.
Wilmer.
And again, thank you very much, Mr. Caesar.
Or
It's a pleasure.
Thank you guys.
Come back in the next episode. Peace.